It is not usual for the Gateway Chamber to give out a special award at this dinner. In fact, in my years at the Chamber, this is only the second time that it has happened. However, in acknowledgement of 7 years of accomplishment at the U.S. Attorney's Office, it is important that we recognize the achievements and those of the man who brought them about. Christopher J. Christie was nominated to the New Jersey United States Attorney on December 7, 2001. He was unanimously confirmed by the U.S. Senate, avoided the Karl Rove purges, and served 7 years as Chief Federal Law Enforcement Officer for the state of New Jersey. During Chris's term as U.S. Attorney, his efforts in battling political corruption, corporate crime, human trafficking, gangs, terrorism, and polluters were praised by leaders in both parties and drew national attention. His successful prosecutions included high-profile politicians from both parties with 136 convictions and 0 acquittals, large settlements from companies corrupting our healthcare system, aggressively prosecuting child pornographers, including 2 of the biggest cases in the country in the last 8 years, a comprehensive rooting out of fraud and abuse at the largest medical school in the country, the dismantling of several violent street gangs, including the Double Two Bloods, the disruption of several terrorist plots and the jailing of their perpetrators, such as the plan to invade Fort Dix, and holding to account several large-scale ocean polluters and winning significant pollution settlements and large fines. It is for these reasons that I am honored to present Chris Christie with the first ever Gateway Good Housekeeping Award.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that really wonderful reception. And I'm really glad to have this. I left the U.S. Attorney's Office on December 1st, so it's been about 7 weeks now that I haven't had access to handcuffs. Appreciate that. You know, I accept this award tonight on behalf of the 145 Assistant United States Attorneys who worked with me every day over the last 7 years to really just fulfill one mission. When I hired each one of those people over the last 7 years, I spoke to them before they started on their first day. I always told each one of them the same thing. And it was the same thing that I repeated to myself every day when I came into the office. I told them they only had one job. And that job was each and every day to come into work and to figure out what the right thing to do was and then to do it. Without regard to partisanship or prejudice, without regard to race or ethnicity, without regard to gender or sexual orientation, without regard to any of the things that typically divide our society. Because the framers of the Constitution were pretty smart guys. And if they wanted to name the department I used to work for, the Department of Prosecution, they would have. They didn't. They named it the Department of Justice. And their job each and every day was to pursue justice. And sometimes pursuing justice means being awfully aggressive and tough and to make difficult decisions, and sometimes pursuing justice means to do nothing. But each and every day, their job was to figure out what the right thing to do was. And you know, so much attention was paid during my time as U.S. Attorney to the work that we did on political corruption. and we're very proud of the record that Jim just laid out for you. We're proud of it not just because we didn't lose a case in those 7 years. You know, winning is definitely better than losing, and so all of us like that a lot more. But what I hope that it indicates to all of you is the good judgment that our office showed in who we pursued and how we pursued them. You know, because you'll hear accusations all the time against any prosecutor. And Union County's prosecutors here tonight, Ted Romanko, I'm sure he's heard the same thing over his tenure. When a particularly difficult case comes up, those who are trying to tear down the system of justice will accuse prosecutors of all types of things. And in political corruption, it's usually partisanship. But the reason we're proud of our record is because Republican or Democrat, North Jersey, Central or South Jersey, you know, if we were just going after people because of what party they were with or where they lived, you would think there would be a line of wrongly accused, acquitted office holders who had been persecuted for political purposes by our office. The confidence I hope you have in that office is based upon the fact that that line hasn't even begun to form. That's why no acquittals is important, because we act in your name. Everything we do, every day, is because we get that power and authority from all of you. And I told the folks that I worked with that as I traveled around the state as U.S. Attorney, I couldn't tell them how many people would come up and say thank you to me, to be passed on to them for the work that they did. And I think that what we did more than anything else was to restore in a small way people's faith that some part of their government could work the way it was supposed to work. That no matter how rich or powerful the person was, that justice applies to everyone. That no one is above the law. And that each and every day there would be a group of dedicated professionals who would be pursuing those very, very noble missions. So the last 7 weeks, while they have been at various times interesting and exciting for me for other reasons, the last 7 weeks have been difficult for me as well. Because leaving a group of people like that and leaving, at least for the time being, a mission like that leaves you with a great sense of loss. Someone at the table just asked me, congratulated me on the record, and then said, I said, oh, I love the job. And I did. Each and every day, I never had to drag myself out of bed when the alarm clock went off. And I'm sure many of you feel the same way about your profession. At least I hope you do. That each and every day, when that alarm clock went off, I was anxious to get to work, because I knew that what we were doing for the people of the state of New Jersey was something that was purely good, and most times it was done for people that we probably would never meet and that we certainly would never know. But we did it because it helped to make us a more civilized society, a place where people understand that we can govern ourselves under a series of laws that we make to try to make sure that we leave this place better for our children and our grandchildren than it was left for us. The mission of the U.S. Attorney's Office was under me, and I trust and pray will be in the future exactly the same. And for each and every one of you who participates so much in your community, who participates so much through your professional and personal activities to make this state a better place, we feel as if over the period of the last 7 years we've been your partner in trying to have New Jersey be a place that we could all be proud of, that it could be a place where we could turn it around a bit. And so tonight, think about this. As you sit here and enjoy dinner and the rest of the program, those people, the most powerful people in the state of New Jersey in some instances, who thought that they were above the law, aren't here with you tonight. There are people like Sharp James, who tonight sits in the Fredericksburg Federal Correctional Institution. Yeah, I clap for that one too. And I'll end by telling you one story about the former mayor of Newark. Now, you know the former mayor of Newark never had a private sector job. Former mayor of Newark worked his entire life in the public sector, yet he drove a Rolls Royce around the city of Newark. He never had a private sector job, yet he had a home at the Jersey Shore. He never had a private sector job, yet he had a 41-foot boat at that house at the shore. He never had a private sector job, yet he was able to take extraordinary vacations at the expense of the taxpayers of the city of Newark. And on the day that I was confirmed as the United States Attorney, on December 20th, 2001, a friend of mine who's in the legal profession asked if I would take a meeting with a public official who wanted to get to know me. So on that day, the day I was confirmed, I went to have this meeting. And we sat in this guy's conference room, and he regaled me with tales of his career. And when we got near the end of the half hour I had allowed for the meeting, I got up to leave, and he said, "Come on over here to my conference room window." And he pushed the blinds away. And he said, "Look out the window, what do you see?" And I said, "Oh, I see the building I'm going to be working in starting in 2 weeks." And he said to me, "You see, Mr. Christie, you have to worry about anything. Because from where you sit, you're going to be able to keep an eye on me every minute." That public official was Sharp James, and that was his Gary Hart moment. Go ahead, follow me. Don't worry, Mr. Christie, you'll be able to keep an eye on me. Well, it took 6 years, and the wheels of justice grind slowly, but they grind surely. And tonight, as he sits in federal prison, I wonder if he thinks back on December 20th, 2001, when, for all intent and purposes, he looked at me and said, "Catch me if you can." The pride that we feel in the U.S. Attorney's Office is not because he sits in federal prison tonight. The pride we feel in the U.S. Attorney's Office is because he no longer sits in the office of the mayor of the city of Newark, exposing those citizens to his larceny, to his disrespect, to his greed, and to his violation of the public trust. The jail is just a bonus that comes along with it. So I want to tell you, we feel, on behalf of all of the people I've had a chance to work with, enormously gratified that all of you and all the people you represent have been willing to give us the support you've given us over the last 7 years, the encouragement you've given us through your calls and your letters and your pats on the back when we're out someplace and you hear where we work, because all of those things make us feel really good about the work that we've done every day. So I want to thank you for this award tonight, especially for the handcuffs. My 8-year-old son is going to be thrilled. And I want to thank you also, more importantly, for having had the privilege of service. Public service is a public trust and an enormous privilege. And over the last 7 years, I've had the privilege of being able to serve each and every one of you and the state where I was born and raised and where I'm raising my children. And there can be no greater honor that anyone could bestow on another person than to hand to them your power that derives from your citizenship for a period of time and to ask us to use it responsibly. I hope you're proud of what we've done. I'm proud to have served you, and I thank you so much for this recognition tonight. It has been a wonderful career, and whatever happens in the future, I know that the 7 years I spent as United States Attorney will be the greatest years of my professional life. Thank you very much.